What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Yoda Expedition. Today we have the 3rd gen taco in the shop, and we're going to be doing an install of the aFe Power Momentum GT intake. We also have the air scoop to go along with it. This combination is going to give you a little bit better of a throttle response. It's going to give you a little bit more intake noise as well. It's going to be a pretty simple install, so let's go ahead and get this factory one taken out and show you how to install this one. So let's quickly just go over all the stuff that we have here on the table. We have the intake and we have the air ram. You don't have to use both together. If you just want the intake, then it comes with a little block off plate here for the front where the air ram would be hooked up to. So we have all the things that we need here. We have a pre-oiled filter, which this thing is pretty massive. So there's really not too much to pre-assemble. You have this piece of molding here that's just going to be going around this hole where it goes into the fender well, so we can go ahead and slap that on. If you're not going to be using the air ram, like I said, you have this cover that's just going to simply snap in place like so. You can put that on. But if you are going to be using the air scoop, this piece is going to go there in its place. So we'll go ahead and put that on, and then the air scoop will slip in here. That's pretty much it for right now. We're gonna go ahead and get the factory one taken out. We have to take the MAF sensor out of that, swap it over to this, and then also we have some rubber bushings and stuff we have to put into the bottom of this air box, and then we can go ahead and get this thing mounted up into the Tacoma. Step one, we're just gonna take off the engine cover. So just pull that up and pull it towards you. That'll pop right off. Then we can go ahead and unplug the MAF sensor. So you can see that's right here. Push that clip in, that'll pop right off. We have a couple of clips that is holding the wiring in place, so we'll go ahead and get those taken off as well. And then we can pop off the top here for our airbox. And pull out the filter. Underneath the filter, you're going to find two 12mm bolts, and then also on the back side of the airbox there is another 12mm bolt. We'll go ahead and take those 3 bolts out and then take the bottom section of the airbox out. Got a 10mm here. We're going to take this clamp off from the throttle body. Just loosen this up, and then also we have a hose here for the crankcase breather that's going into the valve cover. We'll just go ahead and take off this clamp and pull the hose out. So with that clamp loose, we got that hose off, we got the MAF disconnected and the clips for the wiring. Now we can go ahead and just take this right off. And then we have 2 Phillips head screws. We're going to take those out and get this MAF transferred over to our new intake tube. Now with the top portion of the intake out of our way, we can take out those 3 12mm bolts. So on the bottom portion of the airbox where you took those 3 bolts out, you're going to see some rubber bushings with some metal bushings inside of those. We're going to go ahead and pull the metal bushings out from the rubber bushings. That's going to make it much easier to take the rubber bushings out. So we're going to have to go ahead and pull all 3 of those out and then transfer them over to our new airbox. So the bushings are out of the factory airbox. I'm going to go ahead now and take out the MAF sensor with those 2 Phillips head screws. All right, so we have our MAF sensor. We're going to go ahead and install it into the new intake tube. This end here is going to be connecting to your throttle body, and the arrow is going to be pointing towards the throttle body. This is only going to fit one way, so it should be pretty self-explanatory. Comes with new screws. These are a T20 Torx. So we're going to go ahead and get these installed. I'm just going to lightly snug these down. We don't want to crack the plastic. Next up, we got the new airbox here from aFe. We're going to take those rubber pieces and we're going to get those into the holes here on the bottom. And then once these are in place, you can slip the metal bushings back inside. These holes seem to be a little tight. It's going to take a little persuasion to get these bushings in. Maybe a little bit of WD-40 or grease will help get the metal bushing slide into the rubber piece. With the 3 bushings reinstalled into our new airbox, we can go ahead and take the factory hardware and we'll get this bolted back into place. So with the air box tightened in place, we can start putting the filter and the intake tube onto the motor. We'll go ahead and get this coupler onto the throttle body. So if you look at this coupler, it's two different sizes. It's very small, the difference, but the bigger side is going to be going on the throttle body. The side that says aFe power is going to go onto the intake tube. So we'll go ahead and put our hose clamp on there and get this slipped onto the throttle body. Now we're going to take the filter, we're going to get that into the air box. There's like little tabs, and that's going to lock the filter into the air box, and then make sure your clamp is on there, and then we'll get the intake tube connected to this and to our coupler here on the throttle body, and we'll get both of those tightened down. Now we can take this, and we'll get that slipped into our filter. Don't forget your hose clamp. Slip that on there. Go ahead and tighten these clamps up. These are 8. With our 3 clamps tight, we can go ahead and reinstall our breather hose here. Push that on. Put our clamp back on. And then we can reinstall our MAF plug coming from the bottom here. Just like that. And that's pretty much it. Like I said earlier, if you're just going to be running the intake, you can put that block off plate on here. But since we're going to be doing the air scoop, we'll go ahead and show you how to install that. Installation of the air scoop is going to be really simple. We have to take off this plastic piece here that goes above your radiator. So we just have a couple of clips. We're going to go ahead and take those out, and then we're going to be using 2 of these clips to install the air scoop. I'm sorry, 3 of these clips. Once those are all removed, this piece will just lift right off. So we have the air scoop here. You can see we have 2 bigger holes. That's going to be for clearance of these rubber bumpers. And then we have 3 smaller holes. Those are going to be for the clips that we just took out on the top here. So we're going to go ahead and get this tucked in place. So we got the air scoop installed here to this coupler. There's no clamps or anything to hold this in, so it's kind of finicky. You have to be really careful when you're trying to get everything aligned and not pull this off. So with this now aligned, we'll go ahead and reinstall our 3 clips here on top, and that's pretty much going to be it. We can go ahead and throw on our engine cover. And that's that.
Hear the intake. That's nice.
All right, guys, that's going to be a wrap on the install for the aFe Power Momentum GT intake and also their air scoop. As you saw, this is a very simple install. I would say that there is definitely some added intake noise there. I don't know how this truck felt beforehand. It's not my truck, but I'm sure there is a little bit of a butt dyno increase there. With this intake, you're going to have a very large filter to grab a lot of air, and then added with the scoop, you're not just sucking air in from your fender well, but you are forcing air in through the front and into your intake So I'm sure there's a benefit there for this combination. We've definitely installed a bunch of intakes here at Yoda Expedition before, and I have to say that the aFe one here is definitely a nice quality. Everything bolted up as it should. The only thing that I could say is a downfall is with this particular intake, I don't think it's going to work with a snorkel with the way that the end over here by the fender well is designed. I'm sure you can make it work some sort of way, but out of the box, it's not going to work with most snorkels that are out there on the market. So just take that into consideration if you have a snorkel or if you're planning on getting a snorkel for your Tacoma.
You can hear the intake. That's nice.